Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen, and I'm Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen, and today I thought we'd do another pie. Now I know you're saying, Brian, we do a lot of pies. I like pie. I mean, we do a lot of things, but today we're going to do a pie. We're going to do a custard pie, and I've been just had a huge hankering for a custard pie for a couple weeks now, and I thought, it's time to make one. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Glad you came. Hope you get something out of this video, out of my channel. If you're returning, thank you, as always. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I think it's over here. It might be over here, but I'm pretty sure it's over here. And right next to it is notification bell. That way you know my videos come out. They usually come out twice a week. Not always. I am a family of 4. At the moment, we're actually 6 of us, but there's only 4 of us left in the house, and things get crazy. I run a restaurant. I also have a small business, baking goods, and all that stuff. But I do try to put out 1 dinner video a week, 1 baking video a week. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Always appreciate it because they tell me how I'm doing. Did you like the video? Did you hate the video? Where am I headed? Plus, it gets us out into people's YouTube feeds and helps our community grow, because ultimately, even though our channel is about all aspects of food, whether it's growing it, canning it, processing it, or baking or cooking, we're also trying to be a place where we're good neighbors, and we have a nice neighborhood, so to speak. So that being said, you can also comment. I love comments. Try to respond to all of them. At the moment, I do respond to just about all of them, because I don't have a million of them, and even then I think I would try hard to respond. But all I ask with comments is you keep them civil. You don't have to agree, but be nice. Think before you type. So that being said, let's get down here to the counter where we can work on a custard pie. Custard pies are old, like 100 plus years old. They're just an easy, quick pie to make. And there's not a whole lot of variations on the filling. Crust options are always there, but filling wise, it's pretty straightforward. So anyhow, let me get you down to the counter where we can see some stuff, and we'll start talking about what you'll need to make this with, what you'll need to do, steps you'll need to take. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, so we're down here at the counter, and like I said, easy pie. Things you will need though. As soon as I find what I'm looking for, at minimum, a pie pan, a bowl, and a whisk. And of course a rubber spatula. You always, even if I don't mention it, we'll always need a rubber spatula. So those are pretty much the tools you'll need. And the first thing we need to do with this, before we even start on the filling, is work on our pie crust. Now, I already did mine up. You can use a pre-made pie crust, or you can use a pie crust recipe that you have, or if you need one, I have one on several other videos, pie videos, but I'll leave the ingredients list for this down in the description below. So what I did was I made my pie crust up. I put it in my 9-inch pie pan. I poked some holes in it, right? I took an egg white, which you'll separate one egg, the yolk and the white, but don't throw away the yolk. You'll need it. I brushed this with the egg white. I put it in the oven at 375 degrees for 7 minutes, and then I pulled it out, and I'm just letting it sit on this cooling rack. We're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes. I literally just pulled it out. So we'll go ahead and get this to the side. Now that we got that to the side, we can start making our pie filling. So we'll grab our bowl, and I will give you the list of ingredients in both cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, and in grams. And in case I didn't mention it, because I know I didn't mention it, but another tool that I think is very essential in baking is a scale. Scales aren't expensive, and they will help you tenfold in baking with accuracy. And accuracy is important when you're baking. So a scale is always recommended. But But that being said, the first thing we need to do is remember the egg yolk that we separated. Here's the white, and then there's the yolk, but I've got 3 whole eggs in there with it, so I'm just going to combine the two. All right, we only separated it so we could get a little bit of that egg white on the pie crust. So the first thing we're going to do is take 4 large eggs at room temperature, put them in here, and we'll whisk them up real quick, just like such. Something else that's essential that you'll need is a recipe right here. As always, wrote it down in the book. If we don't like it, tear it out, throw it away. If we like it, it works, or we think we can make it work, we keep it. So, ingredients, directions, how to put it together. Recipes are important. So we got that. So, we're taking our egg yolks, we've whisked them up. To this, all right, we are going to add our sugar, which is 3/4 of a cup of just regular old granulated sugar. And it's 3/4 of a cup, 300 grams, right there. And we'll get that mixed in. We're pretty much going to mix in between every step. But like I said, there's only a handful of ingredients to this, so it's really kind of easy. And we're essentially just making a custard. So, it's not hard to do. We're going to bake it in the oven. That way all the egg gets up to temperature and it'll help solidify it. So we got our sugar in there, and you want to make sure you've got it in good. Definitely want to, no lumps, no bumps, nice and smooth. Just like such. Then we are going to add some salt, which is just a 1/4 teaspoon. Right? Yes, 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt, just regular old. I'm using kosher salt. If you don't have kosher salt, use table salt, not a big deal. And we're also going to add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. All right, throw that in there. Then we're going to give that a quick mix, get that incorporated. There is that. Now, I didn't mention, when you take your pie crust out of the oven, don't turn your oven off. Leave it on 375. And then we're going to add 1 cup, 247 milliliters, 247 grams of heavy whipping cream to that. And you want that at room temperature also. Everything should be at room temperature. Nothing cold. Unless the directions, ingredients list, or something recommends differently, like basically when you're making whipped cream, room temperature, standard rule of thumb. Get that in there, get that mixed up. And then last thing we're going to add to this is 1.5 cups, 378 grams or milliliters of milk. I'm using whole milk. I suppose you could use 2%, but I would almost recommend whole milk because you want that fat content in there. That's what helps bind it. So, get that in there, get that mixed up. Alright, get that mixed up. Easy peasy. Just like such. And the only ingredient that's left is nutmeg, which we'll talk about that here in a second. Let me go get my pie crust. Alright, we've got our pie crust. Now, I'm sure I did not mention this, but the reason why we put the egg wash on the pie crust is to seal it. That way, it doesn't soak up your filling, your custard mix. So, we've got that there. Now we're just going to take our custard mix, and we're going to pour it in. And my crust is still kind of warm, and that's okay. In this case, it doesn't have to be completely cooled. We're going to pour that in there. Like such, which it looks like this particular custard recipe was made for a deeper dish pie. Actually, here, let's put a little more in here. Haha, everybody okay? I'm going to leave that in just because that was awesome. And it shows you not everything goes right. We will call that an in-video blooper. I'll pour just a little more in there, like such. And then we're going to take our nutmeg, which is a 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram. I think it's 1/4 teaspoon. Yeah, 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of nutmeg. Now, it says to use fresh nutmeg for best flavor, but I personally don't have any fresh nutmeg. Never been able to find it in this town, and I just don't ever think to order it because it's not something I use a lot. Although fresh nutmeg, if you can grind it fresh, has, you know, way more powerful flavor to it. All right, so we got that on there, looking good, just like such. I will. Ooh, gotta get a pan out. We're gonna put it on a sheet. That way, in case it bubbles, it doesn't bubble over into the oven, because that would make one heck of a mess. So we'll go ahead and get our pie on the cookie sheet, like such. Alright, so we didn't even need the spatula for this one. And we're going to get this in the oven. We'll get this in the oven real quick and we'll talk about how long to bake it for. Alright, got that in the oven. That was really embarrassing dropping you guys, I'm sorry. You know, I mean, I caught you. You didn't hit the ground, so that's important. Alright, so we got that in the oven. Now, to bake this, we're going to bake it for 35 to 45 minutes. You'll know it's done because you should be able to take a fork or a knife, just like such, a metal knife in this case, stick it down in the center, and this knife should come out clean. That's how you know it's done. So, let's go ahead and get this baked. I am going to rotate it 180 degrees and we'll turn it completely around about halfway through. So at about 22 minutes, 23 minutes, I will take it and rotate it. That way I ensure even baking on it. You know, and you want to make sure you put it on a pan, or if you don't want to put it directly on the pan, you can put a pan below it on your other rack. And then that way, and if it does happen to bubble over a little, it'll hit the pan. But it's just an extra added precaution. It may not bubble over at all. So, when I come back, we'll take it out of the oven and we'll talk about how to proceed from there. Alright, see you in a second. Alright guys, we're out of the oven. Let's take a look here. I promise not to drop you this time. Oh, and there we are. That is our custard pie. So, as you can see, it's still bubbling. I mean, if I were to shake it, it's still jiggly, right? I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's really hot. I literally just took it out of the oven. So, I'm not going to touch it, but it should still be jiggly, right? Because it's, you know, a lot of liquid. We just pulled it out of the oven, and as you know, liquid doesn't solidify when it's hot. So, what are our next steps? We're going to let that cool down to room temperature out here in the wide open kitchen. And then we will put some saran wrap over the top, and we're going to put it in the fridge. That way it can completely set. This pie is best served chilled from the fridge. So I'm going to go ahead and get those next two steps taken care of. Let it sit and get to room temperature. Put some saran wrap over the top, plastic wrap, whatever you want to call it, and stick it in the fridge so it can completely set. We're going to leave it in the fridge about 4 to 6 hours, best overnight, which overnight is 8 to 9 hours. About the time you would sleep, right? But that being said, it'll probably be closer to 6, might be 8, who knows? It'll depend on what we get into today. But when I come back, we'll take the saran wrap off and grab us a piece to see how it tastes. All right, I'll see you here in a second. All right, guys. So we let the custard pie get room temperature. Then we put her in the fridge. Had it covered all up. let's take a look at it, and we'll give it a cut and a taste and see how she turned out. So let me get you down here. And it sat for a while in that fridge. Had a busy day, ended up having to go into work and take care of a few things. Doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And there we are there. And take another look at it, even though you just saw it like 10 seconds ago. But see how it's not jiggly? It's good and firm, which means it should cut nicely. So we'll get us a good piece in here. I know it's been forever since I've had a custard pie of any kind. And I think I have earned a piece. Feels like it's nice and solid. It's cutting very well. I'll just keep a hold of it. That'd be great. There is that. Set that down. Get up the. This is really the hardest part right here, is getting that first piece out. I don't know why that is, but it really can be a challenge. There we go. Oh. Yeah. Oh, the crust is solid. Yeah. That first piece never wants to come out right. Almost makes me want to cut another piece to show you, but I won't. But there we are. I mean, it's good and solid. Looks fantastic for that matter. We got a little piece of crust out of the way there. That first piece, always a pain. I don't care what anybody says. And that's alright. It's not like I'm a professional. Yeah. Never went to school for it. Alright, let's taste and see how it goes. That is so rich and creamy. And that crust is wow. I mean, I really like the crust. It's my crust. So, yeah, opinions I guess may vary, but I like it. You guys need to try this custard pie recipe. It has got the perfect amount of sweetness. It almost reminds me of a sugar cream pie. I mean, just hands down. Which, if you've never had one of those, you gotta try one. I think I got a recipe for it that's even a video for it from way back in the day. Maybe a year and a half ago. It's one of my first pie videos. But yeah, give this a shot. Let me know what you think. I think you'll like it. I don't think you'll be disappointed whatsoever. So, let me know either way. Leave me a comment down below. And with that being said, like most weeks, I don't know what we're doing next week for dinner. But for dessert, we're going to do a lemon meringue pie. I haven't had one in forever. And for whatever reason, that just sounds really good. So, I know at least next week on Thursday, we're going to do lemon meringue. But I have no idea what we're going to do for dinner yet. So, that being said, I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them. And that you love them very much. Make them some of this pie. They'll know you love them. They'll taste it in every bite. So until next week, I love you. Talk to you later. All right?